Welcome to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is an April 25th edition of the pod. And on today's show, we've got what's the word I want to use here? Do I want to lose everyone right up front? I won't. We've got a third banana on the show, CJ Woodling, making his triumphant return.
Somehow you did it. You made it worse. Somehow you made it worse.
I feel like third banana's a fitting one. Live from Reno, our Nevada correspondent.
As I was telling them, the Nevada Ducks correspondent is arguably the most useless media position in the Ducks organization.
Yeah. Well, unless you're reporting on Robin Leonard, then we all want to know. But yeah, I think that overall, it's. I think this might be our first time, or one of the few times we've had someone on this show that's not actually in California. So. Hopefully the crossing state lines internet connection holds up.
I think the last time we would have been Julie Stewart-Binks.
Yeah, and then before that, why am I spacing on her name? Kat Silverman.
Or Byron Bader. I don't remember which one was first.
Anyway, it's been a while. We've got much to discuss. I don't think we should really waste any time here and just get right into it, unless, I don't know, you want to talk about the weather or something. I'd rather get into the meat of it. Ryan Getzlaf, final home game has been final. I mean, the chapter is now closed on his career, and it was really an emotional night seeing just the pregame ceremony, the postgame ceremony, the interviews, his speech. I guess we'll start with you, Jake. What was your how did you experience this? Let's start with just because I think to me all that really matters, I don't want to say all that really matters, but the main part of all this was after the game, the post game. As you saw, like, when did it hit you, I guess, that Ryan Getzlaf isn't going to be an Anaheim Duck anymore?
You know what? It honestly was maybe an hour or two before the game, when the Ducks posted that video of him walking down the tunnel. And for those that missed it, the Ducks posted a video of when Ryan Getzlaf came into the arena. He basically went down a hallway and was surprised by a bunch of, I think it was, whether it was a mixture of season seat holders and fans and people from the Cure Duchesne Foundation, some of the kids from there, a big foundation that has been a big part of his life. And then kind of also at the end of the tunnel were Dallas Aikens, a bunch of the coaches, and then the Samuelis. And I think just kind of seeing that, that's when it really hit me. I think seeing him hugging the kids, seeing him, I mean, as dumb as it sounds, seeing him hug the Samuelis. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. I don't know if who knows what their personal relationship has been with Getzlaf, but you got to imagine that there's a pretty close relationship there with him essentially growing up underneath them. Him going from a 21-year-old into 37-year-old. Is that how old he is now? I'm spacing off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. But regardless, he grew up under their guys, and you have to think that he probably went to them with some things and was the face of their franchise. And so I think that's when it really hit me, was that moment. And I had my ins and outs throughout the game. I think the first moment of truly, truly being emotional, though, during the game was that final 3 minutes. We'll get into it more, but that assist was the moment when it hit me, of everything kind of coming together and really kind of, I don't know. It really just kind of hit me of, this is his final moment. This is a storybook ending.
Yeah. CJ, how did you experience it? When did it hit you that this ride is over? Is CJ here?
We may have lost him.
CJ frozen?
We may have lost him for a quick second.
I am here. My AirPods lost connection.
Oh,
okay. Okay. CJ, when did it hit you that Ryan Getzlaf was not coming back?
It actually took a while. It took until probably the end of the game when it actually finished. And, they kind of cleared off all the St. Louis Blues came up, were congratulating him, giving handshakes, hugs, and everything. And I think really the kind of breaking point with me, where I legitimately started crying a little bit, was when they started announcing Getzlaf as all 3 stars. Like, as soon as they did, I was like, they've got to be doing him all 3 stars. And as soon as they did 3rd star, 17, and I immediately just lost it. Like, I was out. That was it.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, for me, because of course everyone knows this, but I'm not an actual Ducks fan. I don't cheer for the team to win or anything like that. But having watched Ryan Getzlaf play for years now, and just as a fan of the sport, I think seeing a legend, a figurehead of a franchise, a guy who's only ever played for one team, to see him go out like that, I remember, I think it may have actually been the assist for me. When he pulled that off, the behind the back to Henrique, who scores, it kind of hit me, oh wow, this guy's still really good, and we're just not going to see that anymore. We're like, this is just completely over. And so, I don't know. I will say this, though, just overall on the night, I'm just really happy for Ryan Getzlaf. I think that it's so rare for any athlete to have, first off, to be able to go out on their own terms.
Yes.
Secondly, to have a night like that, that's all about them, where you're able to bring in the people that helped get you there, that helped you get through it, right? Because it's not just about getting you to the NHL, it's actually getting through the career and being able to thrive during that. So for him to be honored like that, for him to have the entire night be about him, and just the way that he handled it, so classy as always, I'm just really happy for him. I'm really happy for everyone involved that he got to do it this way, that he's not leaving the NHL kind of limping out of the door, that he's going to be going out in one piece, and everyone's already talking about what he's going to do next. I guess, Jake, what is your guess as to what the future awaits for Getzlaf?
Oh, I think management. He's basically even said, he had that interview on 32 Thoughts, and he mentioned coaching isn't something that interests him. It's not something that really he finds interesting. It's not something he really can see himself doing. But the management side, building a roster, that's what intrigues him. And so I don't think he probably jumps right in. I think a big part of retirement, and he even said this, is he's a big family guy. And not being able
he's literally got a big family.
Yeah.
So.
And not being able to be there for all of his kids' birthdays and everything like that. And that has to be hard. I mean, that's one of the personal elements or the human elements of being a professional athlete that you really can't discount, that you miss those major milestones. You miss the birthdays. You miss all that stuff. And so I think he probably at least will want to take a year and probably just be a dad. I think that and he deserves that. He deserves to do whatever he wants. And if that's what he wants to do, then completely understand, and he should definitely do that. I think he's someone, though, that has an itch to be around the game. And I think maybe not next year, but the year after. I mean, the Ducks have already said that there's an open invitation for him to join the front office in whatever manner he wants. And so maybe that is something he starts doing next year, and just does it in a very limited role that allows him to still be around his family and not take him away from that, but allows him to stay involved in the game. Or it might be something that they wait on, and he waits a year on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for you, CJ, how important is it to you that Getzlaf sticks around? Because to me, I think that everyone's kind of rushing to, and I'm sure it's rightfully so. Like, clearly he's a guy who thinks the game very well, but everyone's kind of rushing to give him that next, like, what's he going to do next? And I feel like we need to maybe just, does it even have to matter, I guess, is my question.
Well, I don't think it matters. First off, Getzlaf doesn't owe us or the organization really anything at this point in time, right? He has given literally his entire career as, arguably the greatest player in franchise history. He has earned the choice to do whatever the hell he wants. If that's a year worth of, just being a dad, if that's 5-10 years worth, if he doesn't want anything to do with the game of hockey again, like, fantastic, like, that is his prerogative, and I don't think anybody can fault him for that. Now, I'm the type of person, and we've had conversations about this, where I'm definitely the kind of person where I do hesitate when you automatically give a front office spot or a coaching spot to a player, to like a player's legend. We've seen that lead to a bunch of issues. We see it with the Oilers like crazy. We saw it to some extent in Vancouver with Jim Benning, where we saw it all over the place. But Getzlaf is very much a I think he's a bit of a special case and a bit of a different case where he has left such a massive impact on this franchise, not just on the ice, but off the ice as well, and even within the front office, within the coaching. Um, he's a giant within the organization, and everybody, or at least most people, by all accounts, respect what he has to say. He's very clearly a very smart and intelligent hockey player who could read the game, who knew the game, who I think has a mind for the modern game. So I think all of that lines up to him being like, okay, he could fit very well in the Ducks front office and have a very significant positive impact. Will he for sure? Is that a guarantee? Of course not. He could be terrible. And we saw, like Wayne Gretzky, for instance, be a terrible coach, with the Arizona Coyotes. It's not a given, but given his resume before and given kind of what he means to this franchise, I think if he wants that spot to be involved in the organization at the management level, he's got it. And I think he's already done quite a bit to earn that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me with Getzlaf, he's always struck me as one of those guys who's really good behind the scenes, just at kind of managing relationships and getting through to guys. And he just carries so much respect. Everyone that you hear talk about him has only positive things to say. And I do think that it's hard. It's just hard to know. And everyone kind of wants to rush to say, oh, will he be on the development side? Will he be on the management side? And it's just, we have no idea what this guy is going to be like as an NHL executive. He's literally never done it. Of course, he understands the actual sport, but it's a completely different beast to be on the management side. And we've seen people with no playing experience or no pro playing experience thrive on that side, and other people with great experience, like you said, the greatest player ever in Gretzky, struggle. So I'm in no rush to see him do that. I just hope that he enjoys his retirement. I love the video with his kids.
Oh yeah,
after the game, that was so funny.
That was perfect.
But yeah, I mean, Jake, does it matter to you at this point, kind of what he does, in terms of like with the team, like the timeline on that?
Not really. I don't really think it matters to me at all. I mean, I think it would be cool to have him involved in the organization, but I don't necessarily think it's something I think about really at all. I think for now, that's kind of on the back burner, honestly. I think there's just more pressing topics for this franchise to move forward. I think, honestly, the next thing for Ryan Getzlaf is, when does number 15 go in the rafters? I think that's a more interesting conversation than if he joins the front office, because that's a fan thing. But let me ask you this. Did you get emotional at all during the game, seeing as you're asking all the questions? So I'm throwing it back at you. Yeah, well,
it actually kind of hit me. So it hit me more so the night before against LA, when when he had the hugs with Kopitar, Dustin Brown, and the different guys in the Kings. It kind of hit me, oh, wait, like this is actually happening. Like he's leaving. And then, because we all kind of knew what the game at Honda Center would look like, we had that, we kind of knew what to expect in terms of the ceremony. But then in LA, I didn't expect quite as much there. And I mean, I guess I should have expected more, but just kind of realizing, oh, this is actually happening. He's leaving. That was a bit of a shock. And yeah, I mean, if I'm not like just a cold robot. Some people might think you are. People absolutely think that, and I think when he was skating around, kind of waving goodbye, that's when it was just like, oh man, this is too much. Yeah. I got to look away from the screen right now, because I mean I've said this over and over on the podcast, but Ryan Getzlaf is still really good. He's still he's still a guy. I mean, look at the assist, and people are going to point out that assist the whole way through, but look at his stats this season. He's been a key contributor for this team, and it's not just because they're a middling team. He's still a guy who can help a contender. I mean, he could easily go the Corey Perry route and kind of, jump around teams and be a contributor there, but he's still a lot better than Perry, even still. And so, I don't know. There's just something about a guy going out when he's still got it. He's still got his fastball that's even harder for me to grasp. Because, I mean, for example, like when a recent example of a guy retiring that comes to mind is like Patrick Marleau, and the whole, all the ceremonies he got and all the flowers he got. And it's like he was cooked. I mean, he was beyond done. He was basically riding it out for the Iron Man streak or whatever, games played streak. But with Getzlaf, it's quite the opposite. Like, this is a guy who can still play. And I think now the question for me becomes what this roster is going to look like next season. I know that we should probably spend more time talking about Getzlaf and what he's done, but that's where my mind is going, at least.
Yeah.
Is just what comes next.
And I think a good transition point is to talk about the game and that assist specifically. Because, I mean, is there anything either of you wanted to bring up about the pregame ceremonies or anything along those lines?
I don't think I've got anything on the pregame. No.
I mean, the only thing really... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it was very well done, Jake, as you said on Twitter, to, giving props to Bally, to the Ducks, to everything. Like, I'll be honest, me specifically, I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been critical of kind of the production that the Ducks put on, the in-arena production, the TV production. I've definitely had my critiques of it, but everything that they did for Getzlaf, all the videos, the hype, the ceremony, everything was just so well done, and I don't know if I could think of them, being able to do a better job. The pregame ceremony was fantastic. Obviously, the postgame ceremony that we talked about, everything was just perfect.
Well, I also want to give them credit on this. They also added an extra half hour on their pregame show and basically just made it on essentially bringing in all the former players that were there and just sitting down and talking to them. They had Emerson Edom on. They had Ken Huskins. They had Sean O'Donnell. They had all these different people from the various different time, because you think about how many years Ryan Getzlaf covered for this franchise, right? There's so many different iterations of this team, from the Stanley Cup champion team to kind of that weird little lull that came afterwards with the Lubomir Visnovsky. And then you also had the time after that with the Kyle Palmieri, the Emerson Edom, the Cam Fowler, that kind of generation coming up through it, and then going into this current one. And you think about all those different players, all those different types of players that all were influenced by him and saw him, and whether it's a Sean O'Donnell that was an elder statesman on the team and saw this young guy come in and start to become a force, whether it's a Kent Huskins that played with him in Portland when they were kids and then came into the NHL and played kind of as his same age and that same type of player, whether it was an Emerson Edom, who was a guy that came into the league, and he came in when Getzlaf was a captain already. Getzlaf was a captain when Edom came onto the team. And to have all these different perspectives of Getzlaf's career, I think was a fascinating, and I don't know if they did that on purpose. I hope they did, but it gave you just the different viewpoints of his career, and I think that was something I really, really appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one thing that I pointed out after the game, which I feel like for whatever reason I got a decent amount of pushback, which I didn't expect. But I think that Ryan Getzlaf has left the Ducks in a better, like, he's left this franchise in a better position than when he came into it. Right?
100%.
If you compare the status of the franchise now to where it was when he was drafted and when he entered the league, I think it's kind of night and day. I mean, they've won a Stanley Cup. They had a long run of success, of playoff success, of regular season success. And sure, they didn't win another one with him as the captain, and the last 3 years were pretty lean. But overall, I mean, the team level success that Getzlaf had throughout his entire career was very, very high.
Yeah, I saw some of that pushback to you. Most of that pushback was on people that were very focused on the current day state of the team and missing the forest for the trees with your statement.
Yeah, exactly. Because, of course, if you were to just compare today to how the team is right now,
0506.
Right, then yeah, sure. Although even then, I don't know, like, if you were to really go back. But the whole point is that when you compare the totality of what he's done and how it adds up compared to where they were at that time, I think there's just a different level. There's a different level of respectability. Is respectability a word?
Yes.
I need to double check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, CJ should be the one to talk, not me. I'm not the wordsmith.
There's a different.
It's a word. You're good.
There's a different level of respectability that the Ducks as a franchise, to me, have now that they didn't have before Ryan Getzlaf was a member of the team.
And I think part of that can maybe be attributed to the Samuelis taking over, but you cannot discount the impact that he had, and it can be a bit of both in this situation. And I think that's where you're going. I mean, look at the grassroots situation for the Ducks and how far it's gone.
That's part of my equation, by the way. Like
the Ducks had one single rink at that point in time. They had Anaheim Ice, and that was it. And they've gone on and they've bought all these different rinks. That was when Disney owned it. And then they've bought all these rinks, had this grassroots program, have the learn to plays that were built underneath Getzlaf and Perry, have everything like that, and where hockey's at. And Getzlaf was at the forefront of all of that. And so while Teemu and Korea were essentially built the foundation, Getzlaf and Perry, and obviously specifically Getzlaf in this situation, built the house.
Yeah. Yeah, and that matters so much because now you see with all of the talent that's come out of Southern California in the last 10 years, I think there's a pretty strong correlation with everything they've done in the community. I mean, to me, that's kind of the ultimate testament to what they did, is the fact that the sport, not just that the team benefited and that the team had success and that he had success and got really rich, but also just that the fact that the sport grew, that people's lives improved by participating in the sport. That you can't really have a higher praise than that, I would say.
Yep. Yeah, his impact is insane, obviously, off the ice. But to your point, Felix, about kind of like the respectability of the franchise, I think a good way to frame that for people is you look at a lot of these, you look at the original 6 teams, you look at a lot of the Canadian teams, and you look up into their rafters and you just see legend after legend after legend. You see this mythos, these absolute titans of the game who have been immortalized and who are practically worshipped throughout these fan bases, right? You know, you've got people like Gordie Howe, Steve Yzerman in Detroit, Wayne Gretzky, obviously in Edmonton. You've got so much of this, and you know the Ducks have had that. You know, to some extent, they've had Solani, Korea, Niedermayer to a little bit of a smaller extent, but having Getzlaf is it's another legend. It's another icon who is immortalized really forever in Anaheim, whose entire career is inextricably intertwined with Anaheim. And he is the Anaheim Ducks. He is the modern incarnation of the Anaheim Ducks, even in his retirement, until, you know, very soon, hopefully, Zegras and co are going to take over that mantle. But it adds that just extra air of icons, of aura, of myth to the franchise that all the best franchises have.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because if you think, I mean, before the Ducks game yesterday, I was watching the Canadiens game and the pregame ceremony, or the pregame, I guess, memorial for Guy Lafleur, and it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I'm not saying at all that the Ducks have maybe legends of that ilk, but that's how franchises are built over time, is you have, like you said, these icons, you have these pillars in the franchise history that kind of make up the bigger story of the franchise. And I think now what's really cool is with Getzlaf retiring, you can now add his place to that, like you said, to that mantle, and you can draw a straight line all the way back to the beginning of the franchise and the original stars. And now there's this awesome opening for whoever's going to be next, whether it is Trevor Zegras, whether it's, you know, Mason McTavish or whoever. Now the door is wide open, but there's this very cool kind of chain link that they have that they can latch onto and that they got to learn from. Also, I do want to point out, Jake, I don't know if either of you caught this, but as they were taking the group photo on the ice at center ice post game, John Allers said, greatest Duck of all time.
He did. Ryan
Getzlaf.
He did.
Does John Allers listen to Crash the Pond?
He might,
or is he just? I think he's just on the right side of history. I think.
Yeah, big W for John Allers right there.
Yeah, that was a big W.
I feel like with Allers specifically, like, how long has Allers been with the team? Like 05?
I don't know.
Hayward,
actually,
I know it's from the beginning, but
Allers is like early 2000, like 01 or 02 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, like, you know, with
we
him,
have the internet.
He obviously got, you know, I think that with Allers specifically, he got to call Getzlaf's entire career. And you have somebody like Hayward who had, you know, the prime Solani and Korea years, and Allers may have come in, you know, near the kind of the end of that, maybe not even with
02, 03.
So 0203. So he got like 1 year of Korea,
1 year of Korea.
essentially, and nothing of Solani until Solani came back. Like, he saw Ryan Getzlaf's career from start to finish. So it doesn't really surprise me at all that he would consider him to be the greatest, player in Ducks history, just because of his involvement with the franchise and the timeline lining up for that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because I think the last time CJ was on here, or maybe one of the last times, we were having that conversation.
Oh, that's right. It was when I was on my trip.
Yeah, Jake was on his trip to Philly, on the East Coast, I should say, and we had that conversation of the greatest Duck of all time. And I think I want to make good now. I want to make amends for what I said at the time.
At the time, come to my side.
Don't give up.
Well,
Don't stand down. Backbone, Felix.
No, at the time I said that I think I could see the case for either one. And by either one, I mean, because the main debate is between Timo Solani or Ryan Getzlaf. And I think now, upon further review, upon reflection, I think it's just unquestionably Ryan Getzlaf.
Yes.
Like played more games, was around for longer, didn't kind of flip around teams. Like, it's
captain.
Just, yeah, like, I don't know what else you can really say there.
The best way that I describe it is, because I feel like so many people who get up in arms about whenever any of us say this take, that they're like, he wasn't as good as Korea or Solani. And it's like, Solani, I will agree, was the better hockey player overall. Ryan Getzlaf was the better Duck.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, Timo Solani had a higher peak than Ryan Getzlaf. It also helped that he played in the mid-90s, which, were some of the highest scoring periods in NHL history. But with Solani, it's just the fact that, he played less games. Ryan Getzlaf played all 17 years of his career with the Anaheim Ducks, played almost 1,200 games, 1,157. Timo Solani played 966, didn't cross the 1,000 points with the team. Ryan Getzlaf did. There's just something like we're talking about who was the better Duck, not who was the better player overall in their career. Because unquestionably, in terms of career, it's Timo Solani. The guy's over a point per game in his career.
Yeah.
By the way, he played almost 1,500 games.
Yeah.
So no one's questioning that. But I think just in terms of what they did for the Ducks, it's Ryan Getzlaf. And by the way, Ryan Getzlaf led the 07 team in scoring in the playoffs.
Yep.
So there's just no other debate there.
Before we go to break, I do want to and have us ad read from our sponsor. I do want to mention this though. I briefly talked about it, but I think it's the highlight of this game is that assist that he had.
Yes.
Because this was, make no bones, this was a bad game for the Ducks. They were getting outshot 25-6 at one point. Yeah, this was probably and they were winning 2-0 at one point. But
which is hilarious.
This was probably one of the worst performances they've had all season. Absolutely run over. The 6-2 score. Granted, probably shouldn't have been 6. But
by the way,
okay.
Can I just fully jump in here?
Sure.
What do you make of that? These perform, because there's been a couple as of late, it feels like, where they've just been completely lifeless.
You want to take this, CJ? I've got thoughts, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'll be quick.
Are their minds just in Cancun? Are they thinking about Cancun already?
I think it's less about them checking out, and I think they're burned out. Like, with so many youth on the team, I don't want to get into the whole Zegras is frail and because Zegras, I think, still looks, he still looks
frail.
good.
He has 6 points in 6 games.
Yeah, he's fine. But I totally buy the fact that he's really tired and exhausted. He's just that good of a hockey player. I think this team this season has been such a big up and down. It's been insane. There's been so many new people that come in. There's been a ton of change with new general managers. And you were kind of at the end of the season where there's 2 games left after this, 3-4 games left if you're including these previous games. Personally, for me, I just think this is a team that's burnt out.
My opinion is with that game specifically, I think, they're on the back end of back-to-backs. Yeah. I think there's a lot of emotions going into this game that it can go one of two ways. It can either lead you into having a outstanding performance, or there's a lot of things going through your head, and that can really put you behind the 8 ball. I mean, St. Louis was on a hot streak also. I mean, St. Louis isn't that horrible of a team also. I mean, this is a Ducks team that had a okay stretch. I mean, Columbus, they played well. Tampa Bay, they played well. Both LA games were bad, though. I think there's something to what you're saying that maybe they're just kind of out of it. I definitely think that last night's game against the Blues, though, a large part of it was back-to-backs, emotions, everything like that had to do with it. I think that probably is my read on that game. Anything you want to add, though, Felix, before I get into where I was going?
No, I'll table this one for now.
Okay. So where I was going with this in the first place was it was an awful game, but at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that game.
Yeah.
No one's going to remember the game. No one's going to remember the score. 10 years down the line. Some people may even like rewrite history and say the Ducks won this game.
The assist.
The only thing that matters is that assist. And I think that's honestly what makes sports great. And we've talked about this a bunch on the show this season, is that in a crappy year, you got to have moments. And we talked about last year how there was that one game where Zegras and Drysdale both scored their NHL goals, and how those are the moments that you remember. This year, the Zegras game winner in overtime against Washington. It's those moments that kind of draw you in as a fan, even in a crappy year. And that's what makes sports great, is that type of theater, that type of unscripted joy that you can have. And this assist, I think, is up there. This is the highlight of the season to me, honestly. And the fact that Getzlaf comes in, it's storybook, honestly. He comes in on one of his probably second to last shift of his career, 3 minutes left in the game, second or third to last shift, ends up with essentially a 1-on-0 on the goalie. I mean, it was more 2-on-1, but he had a clear shot at the goalie. And of course he doesn't shoot. Of course Ryan Getzlaf doesn't shoot.
Adam Henrique was. I honestly at first thought, did the Blues just give Adam Henrique the lane to give Getzlaf a chance? Like, he was so wide open.
Maybe, but like I legitimately thought Getzlaf was going to shoot and score, because I was like, of course, like it would be hilarious that his final kind of situation he shot that. But a behind the back pass finds Adam Henrique for the final goal of the game, final point of his career with a highlight reel assist on a situation where anyone else in the league shoots that puck.
Sure.
Okay, just fine. 90% of the players in the league shoot that puck.
Sure.
And it was just it's a moment that's gonna live forever in Ducks fans' memories. It's one that's gonna probably live forever on highlight reels. And I think if you want to talk about sports, that is a signature moment for this Ducks franchise. As maybe that might sound hyperbolic, but that's a signature moment for this franchise. That's one that will go down forever, that people will remember forever and will tell their kids about.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there is something special about the fact that it's not just that he scored in or it's not just that he picked up a point or had a highlight reel moment in his final game. It's that he had a highlight that was completely emblematic of what he's done well his entire career, right? Because if he had scored and it had gone off like his face or something, or like his shoulder, right? Kind of a different situation.
Yes.
Well, if it went off his face, that wouldn't be entirely out of the
that's true. He did have some facial fractures.
Yeah, but just the fact that he was able to kind of experience that joy for the last time, and I think also it's funny, like the pop in the arena when that happened, when that goal was scored. It felt like the Ducks were winning. It felt like they had taken the lead. Like
it felt like a playoff game again.
And
that type of buzz was awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder that with a full building and with something to cheer for, that the Ducks there's still a fan base there that's ready to kind of get behind something. They just need to have something to cheer for.
Yeah.
Well, CJ, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about that whole situation was when they asked Getzlaf about it after.
Oh yeah.
And he straight up said he was like, I wasn't gonna shoot that puck no matter what. Like, he had it in his mind. He was gonna pass. That was it. I mean, and he obviously knew Henrique was right there, right? So he he was Ryan Getzlaf to the very last point of his
Yeah,
career.
that's true.
That's
true.
That one, that's a tearjerker.
I mean, even if somehow it didn't go in, at least he went out. He was going out the way that he's essentially played his entire career, and
went out with the high danger chance assist.
Yeah, like honestly, talking about right now, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. And like I said, that was the moment where I honestly got choked up, because I think all of the other stuff was cool. And not saying it's scripted, but it's there, and it gets you choked up.
It was going to happen anyway.
Correct. But the fact that it's this moment, and that it's so just it's storybook. It's so perfect and representative of his career, and the fact that it was within a game and what makes sports great. That is to me what I hoped would happen, and that is what I'm so thankful for. And I know Ryan Getzlaf went around basically, and after that goal, thanking people. But in reality, we all owe him a big thank you for those types of memories, those types of moments throughout his career.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And yeah, I just, one thing that really struck me was in the aftermath and even before, and just all the buildup in the media and different things like that. Ryan Getzlaf's always, he's both a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, but also a guy that kind of has that tough exterior, that doesn't really let you in a whole lot to his emotional state, his mental state. And to kind of see him really open up and to show that emotion, and to show how much this all mattered to him, both in terms of the fans, his teammates, his family. There's just something about that was really endearing and kind of humanizing, which was really cool. And I'm glad that the Ducks gave him that opportunity to just speak after the game, just on a mic, no questions, just kind of speak from the heart. It's pretty rare that you get to see an athlete's kind of mask come off in a way. And so it was just really well done all around.
Yep. So, guys, got a question for you. So, Ryan Getzlaf, not exactly, doesn't have that much hair on the top of his head. Do you think he's used a razor to really trim that thing down over the years?
Where's this going?
I think he does. He's got to use a razor, and it's got to be a good one.
I mean, he really could use. I mean, maybe he could have used Manscaped over the years. So, fellas, have you started spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing. Spring has sprung, and the global leaders in below the waist grooming have the best tools.
Way to sully this night.
I, for one, am having a lot of fun right now.
For cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. Time to clear out your winter bush and join the other 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP. Manscaped has the full package you need for spring cleaning this year. The Performance Package 4.0 is the only tool you need to keep your boys looking and smelling like fresh tulips your partner wants. To start off your spring cleaning, use Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer to get the most precise shave on your hedges. Did we mention it's waterproof as well? No need to worry about watering your grass with this tool, equipped with an LED light so you know it'll be a major asset to the new shorter routine. And you can clear your holes and smell the spring air with the Weed Whacker. This nose and ear trimmer provide proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. After clearing your nose, make sure to get rid of that foul ball smell with the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. The Crop Reviver, spray-on toner for your balls. Keep your boys from sticking to your leg and leave them smelling like fresh flowers. You can also finish off your grooming routine with the Plow 2.0, the perfect razor for the finest shave on your face. I mean, Getzlaf could have used that on top of his head. Because if you're using a Lawnmower 4.0 on your balls and your face, you're doing it wrong, boys. So smell oh so fresh and so clean this spring. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CTP at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. I'm very proud of that one.
Everything from that transition to the copy was flawless.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
I just want to know. I didn't think I would wake up this morning. When I woke up this morning, I didn't think I'd hear Jake talking about our holes. I'm
just happy I made through that without coughing.
Yeah, you're all the way recovered.
Dude,
but anyway,
Aisle 5 in your pants is an all-time line, like right
The
there.
holes.
Instantly.
The holes
I mean,
is just. I'm fixated on the holes.
I was just laughing too hard. I was very proud of my transition, guys. That was
job.
like
Good
that
job.
was Hall of Fame worthy from me, I think.
Can I just say, as somebody who is literally a writer, like a content marketer and copywriter for his professional job, I have so much envy for the person who got to write that ad copy.
There
Like
you go.
I would live if I got that kind of freedom.
Rooch asking, are we actually trying to keep the stream PG-13 there? No
I
comment.
say that's PG-13.
Yes. No. I'm trying to think what PG-13 entails. Anyway, so I think now that we've kind of gone over the Getzlaf, and I mean any closing thoughts on that? Because of course we could spend another hour talking about Ryan Getzlaf, but we've got a show to get through here. So anything else that kind of stuck out to you, Jake? You go first.
Not really, honestly. I think we kind of covered it. Beginning moments were really cool. Pre-game ceremony was really cool. The touch of everyone wearing number 15 jerseys was awesome. The fact that you had the Blues stay on the ice, not only for the handshake, but for all of essentially the post-game stuff, for most of it, was really nice.
Yeah.
And a really nice touch.
David Perron.
Yeah. I mean, David Perron, line mates with Getzlaf for that half a season. It was magic.
Yeah, long-time Duck.
I know it's been a couple of years, but Perron at one point on like Twitter, like 2 or 3 years ago, said that Getzlaf was the best like center he ever played with, like one of the best line mates he ever played with.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's his answer, because you can scroll back and see who he's played with.
Good point.
Getzlaf is definitely the answer there. I guess now spinning it forward, because that's what we have to do on the show. We can't just spend the entire show dancing in the flowers. We have to think about the cold hard reality a little bit. So, CJ, we'll start with you. Do the Ducks have a captain next season?
No.
Okay.
Straight up, immediately, no. I think they go. Well, I think they go 3 A's, potentially like 4 or 5, and rotate in a couple. But I do not see them having a captain next year.
Jake, do the Ducks have a captain? And if they have one, who is the captain?
I mean, I'm leaning towards no, because I think Troy Terry.
If your answer is yes, sorry.
Okay. If my answer is yes, it's Cam Fowler.
Okay.
Especially with kind of essentially you could hear with Getzlaf being mic'd up briefly, him and Cam kind of come in their embrace, and you can see just how much
they're close.
They're close, and the fact that if you're looking for a transition from Getzlaf, that's the guy to do it. And I think that honestly it makes a lot of sense, because Cam has 4 or 5 years left. So by the time Cam is done, Zegras is going to be 25. That's the time to put the C on him. And so, I mean, to me, honestly, the answer is probably no. It seems like I would put it on Cam Fowler right away, though.
Yeah, so CJ, I guess I should circle back to you. Do you think if they were to name a captain, who would your choice be, or who do you think they will pick?
I think Cam Fowler is the most logical option, I will say, so I'll agree with Jake on that. I think that if you are looking at, because obviously it's not just a general manager decision, right? Like there's the coach,
it's
there's
a locker room thing.
It's a locker room thing, but if we do kind of look at Pat Verbeek, and like we have done a lot since he's been hired, look at his mentor Steve Yzerman, go through, we've seen them name, young captains, Dylan Larkin in Detroit. When Steven Stamkos was named captain, he was still pretty, relatively young, I believe. So I could definitely see, like, to me, the next in line after Fowler, potentially when he goes, would honestly be Troy Terry. Like, I know Trevor Zegras being Trevor Zegras is probably going to be the face of the franchise moving forward, deservedly so, for a lot of great reasons. But just from a leadership standpoint, from what we've had, and the fact that Troy Terry is pretty much a veteran now, almost, I mean, if he's not, he's about to be. Just hearing his post-game interviews, how he very rarely gives the straight, like, just get pucks in deep answer. He's very thoughtful. He's a very smart guy. And I think he's pretty well respected in the room as well from what we've heard. So, Troy Terry would probably be my pick if it's not going to be Cam Fowler.
Okay. Yeah, those are good answers. What I will say is this. I think I could see it both ways. So I think that, for one, you could see this group and it being so fresh that Ryan Getzlaf is gone, want to kind of honor his departure by not having a captain next year. But I could also see it from the perspective of, well, I think the Ducks want to compete next year. I think that they want to forge a new identity in the post-Getzlaf era, and at some point, you're going to have to cross that bridge. And for me, I'm in favor of just get on with it and get to it. I don't think that, especially if Cam Fowler were named captain, either way, I don't think Ryan Getzlaf is going to be offended if there's going to be a captain next year or not. I don't think it will be Trevor Zegras if they name a captain. I think that just the way that they've handled Zegras on the ice, the way his responsibilities have been delegated, you can't have a captain whose ice time is restricted and carefully manicured by the coach. And I don't really see Zegras being fully unleashed next season. I mean, maybe he will be, but we know Dallas Eakins will be the coach, and I don't see that necessarily changing. So I don't think Zegras will be the captain. I could see it being Terry, but here's the problem with Terry. He's got 1 year left on next year is the final year of his contract. Then he's an RFA. So presumably he'll still be in Anaheim for years beyond that. But I like the argument for Fowler, which is, hey, he's got a bunch of term left on his deal. You know he's going to be around. Let him have the stretch. He's earned it. He's a career Duck. And then you can let the other young leaders kind of rise to the top during that time. I think that Fowler being the captain makes the most sense for a few different reasons. And that's what I would do, is name a captain right away next year and just kind of usher in the new era. I think it could be a lot of fun to see a Cam Fowler-led team see what they can do next season. So I don't know.
I think that makes perfect sense. And I do want to bring up a quick little, because it's relevant to what we're talking about right now. Where Fat Draw in the chat, in the Twitch chat, says who wears the A's next year. So let's just assume that the Ducks go 3 A's next year. Who wears the A's?
Fowler easily gets one.
Yeah,
Fowler, Henrique,
Silverberg.
Silverberg.
Silverberg is one of the A's right now. So
Silverberg is still going to be around. Yeah. He's got 2 years left. I think it's those three. I mean, maybe you have kind of that rotating cast where you have 3 veterans and then 3 younger guys. I could see that as well. But yeah, I think Henrique will wear a letter for sure next season.
Yeah, I could see them doing the rotating thing. I could see Terry getting a letter though.
Yeah, like the thing is, here's the thing though. This stuff matters to the guys in the room, and whatever they decide is ultimately the right call. But
correct.
In terms of what happens on the ice, in terms of the results, it matters maybe 2% impact, right? Like it's a very, if that.
It's a fan question more or less. It's not an actual on ice impact question.
I mean, it matters. You know, we can't pretend that it does not matter at all, but it also doesn't matter very much at all in terms of the actual on-ice product.
One other question for you before we jump into one other topic I've got before full questions for Q&A. Does Ryan Getzlaf's number get retired next season?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I'm going to say they give it a year. I don't know.
I would say maybe. So I mentioned this earlier in the Twitch chat, and I don't have any information on this. This is just kind of like a gut feeling for me. I could be horribly wrong, but I think there's a non-zero chance that Getzlaf waits for Perry to retire. Whether Perry retires this season, next season, and he would want to go up, not necessarily on the same day, but in the same year.
How crazy would that be?
Frame.
If they have a joint jersey retirement night with both Perry and Getzlaf.
Oh my God. And I don't think that's the way it's going to happen unless they specifically request it.
I could see them wanting that.
I don't think so.
I could see it.
I don't think they would do it. I don't think they would do it. I think they would. I think
split it up.
Yeah, I think they'd split it up.
From a marketing perspective, you'd want to split it up.
I think what you would do is maybe what they did with Solani and Korea when they both got into the Hall of Fame in the same year and you honored them on a night together making the Hall of Fame. My personal opinion, the only benefit to waiting a year for Getzlaf, in my personal opinion, is the fact that it will be the 30th anniversary of the franchise.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But
Yeah.
having said that, it's getting retired next season. There's no doubt in my mind. 15 goes up in the rafters next season. The precedent's been set with Solani where they did it that next season right away. There was no waiting for it. They did it right away. If we're talking about this right, where Getzlaf is the best Duck of all time, if that is what you do with the guy that he is taking the mantle from, that is what they'll do with Getzlaf.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I mean,
That's a good point.
It's one of those things where I don't have a strong feel for because it's not something I think about too much. I could see him wanting to wait for Perry just because their careers have been tied together, but I don't know how much longer Perry has. He could be around for a while.
Perry could still be going.
That's why I said non-zero chance and not guaranteed.
Well,
does Perry finish his career in Anaheim?
That would be. I mean, well, he's a free agent this summer, right?
No.
Yeah.
He's on a 2-year deal.
He's on a 2-year.
Is he?
Let me double check that.
Yep.
I think you're right, but
Jake said that with such confidence that I have no choice
Yeah,
but to
but-
believe him.
Jake, I'm not gonna. Jake,
Felix isn't
yeah.
so easily.
What? Well,
He's
what's
got
that
1 year
mean?
left. He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
Here's I think what we're all missing though. Another legendary Duck is leaving the organization this summer. Ryan Getzlaf's contract is up this summer.
Okay.
Well, did you see his post on Instagram?
Oh, I
Basically-
didn't.
RIP to a real one. That contract, man.
Well, basically saying, we're both retiring. Another fellow retiree. Yeah, kind of a weird exit for him. But you can't really judge a guy with the way that his injury situation devolved. Anyway.
Yeah, that was through no fault of his own. And
Yeah.
I still love how earlier in the season when the Dodonov trade fell through, how he went onto the Ducks Instagram and he straight up commented where he was like,
Oh,
I'm glad they didn't do a thank you Ryan Getzlaf poster. This would be embarrassing.
he probably was like pissed that fell through because his last couple paychecks would have been tax free.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess it would have made sense for him more financially to have those be coming from Vegas.
All right, the final thing I've got though before Q&A
Okay.
is draft positioning. We're in the final week of the season. 2 games left. This is now what essentially is of importance for Ducks fans out there. So wanted to just at least break down where it currently sits, what essentially what to expect for this week. And so the San Jose game last night, the wild game where they ended up beating Vegas in an OT or in a shootout, was fantastic for the Ducks because the Ducks now sit with the 10th best draft odds. San Jose winning last night put them 2 points ahead of the Ducks. And so if the Ducks end up losing to the Sharks tomorrow, the Ducks are guaranteed at worst 10th. They can't drop.
So is that why the Ducks called up a bunch of AHL guys today?
Oh, it's possible.
To beef up the roster
Well,
tomorrow?
Jerry Mayhew's probably out. Getzlaf obviously isn't
so that's
traveling.
2 roster spots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that. Sam Carrick is still out. But the thing that's interesting is the Ducks could get all the way down to 7th. It's a bit of a stretch, but here's kind of how it would happen. So the Ducks are currently at 74 points in 80 games. Buffalo's at 73 points in 80 games. Detroit's at 72 in 80, and Ottawa's at 69 and 79. So if the Ducks lose, out the rest of the way, and Buffalo were to win one of their final 2 games, Detroit wins. I think Detroit wins one of their games in regulation. Yeah, they held the tiebreaker, and then Ottawa wins out or wins 2 and loses 1 at OT. The Ducks would end up with the 7th best odds. So a bit of a stretch there. Oh
yeah,
we've lost CJ for some reason. I see him talking, but.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was accidentally on mute. So what you're saying then is
Boomer
that
energy.
you are personally guaranteeing this happens.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So if the Ducks do not finish 7th overall, we can tell the Twitter mob to come after you.
Sure.
Cyberbully you.
Sure.
So they have 3.5% chance. A 3.5% chance of getting into the lottery. Is that how that works?
So let's see. They currently are sitting at
they're 10th.
Yeah, 10th gets them currently 3.5% odds of getting in of the lottery, basically.
Right. Okay.
So
the difference between 10th and 7th is 3%. They would go up to 6.5%.
Yeah, so here's the percentage chance of spots. 3.5% chance of first, 3.8% chance of second, 73% chance of 10th, 18% chance 11th, 0.9% 13th. If they were to jump all the way to 7th, that goes from 3.5 and 3.8 to 6.5 and 6.9.
Nice.
Double the chances.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. The only issue for the Ducks really in this situation is that Ottawa has 2 winnable games, and then they're playing Florida also. So that Florida game's iffy. Detroit's playing Toronto, and then I think New Jersey.
Yep. But you also don't know how these teams are going to manage their rosters. The really good teams.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, it's probably most likely the Ducks are going to finish in 10th. Is my bet here. But there are options. So there are things to watch. If the Ducks beat the Sharks, then it makes it a little interesting whether it will be 10th or 11th. But yeah, so some things to watch.
Yeah, let me ask you this. In terms of this Ducks positioning, how do I put this? The way that this draft positioning is shaking out, are you a little bummed that the Ducks weren't even worse this season, looking at how things ultimately played out? Or is it fine that they were kind of this, middling team for a little while and then ultimately fell out? Like, I guess we'll have more time to kind of look back on this season, but it feels like they're picking kind of low for a team that was this bad for this long during the year, if that makes sense.
I feel like I've got mixed feelings about that. Like, yeah, there's definitely part of me that's bummed that they weren't worse to get
and I know fans
more legitimate shot at Shane Wright.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I will say is that, what was it? It was the 9, 10, 11 game winning streak that they had in the fall. That was the most fun I've had watching the Ducks in years.
Yeah.
And this season was just so much more. I mean, there were some bad lows, but there were also some great highs. This was the most entertaining Ducks season I think we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, the bar is on the floor, but yeah.
The bar is on the floor, but regardless, there were plenty of entertaining moments. So that's a tough one.
And I want to jump in and add here, this is a Ducks team that's 21st in expected goals for percentage. This isn't this garbage team, right? This was a team that was okay from a 5-on-5 perspective that got
they're not good. They're not awful.
Yeah, they got buried by absolute garbage goaltending. I
guess the problem, this is a Bob Murray problem, is that the roster they had to start the year should not have been the roster they had.
Yes.
The UFAs, the Lindholms, Mansons should have been traded prior to this season.
Yes.
And this if it would have been us at the helm, I think you go all in on the tank this season.
Well, I don't
by trading everyone last year. You can disagree with that, though.
I was going to say, I think there's a way if you actually are active in the offseason that you could have maintained the play and actually been a playoff team this year. If you actually would have been active in moving guys out and pulling guys in.
I'm not so sure about that.
Okay. Well, I mean, pulling guys in, I think, is doing a lot of the work there.
100%.
Yeah. Who are you bringing in?
Yeah.
Fair. It requires some trades, obviously. It requires moves.
Well, it requires trades, and it also requires. I mean, look at what the Ducks had to work with this season in terms of top end talent. I mean, Adam Henrique the Ducks' best player this season?
No, but this season?
No, Troy Terry was.
I think Troy Terry in terms of production, but in terms of on ice impact, I think it's. I mean, Adam Henrique.
It's still Troy Terry.
I don't know.
In terms of pure on ice impact, which includes shooting, it's Troy Terry.
Okay, fair enough. But the point is, the point is, their top end talent this season was not so stellar. They had Terry, Henrique, and Zegras for a couple of months before he completely fell off. Production wise was fine, but on ice completely fell off. And Sonny Milano and Ryan Getzlaf was good, but it wasn't this team.
I mean, so
I don't know how
that's still 5 players.
But you can't really fix that central. Yeah, but these aren't elite level guys, though. My point is just that you can't really fix that central problem in a year to really take that next step.
No, but I think
so to me, trying to eke out a playoff spot just didn't make sense.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like this whole like, okay, we're gonna push for a wild card spot before the rebuild has been fully realized just didn't make sense.
Let me just kind of add this part there. What do we largely talk about for most of the season as being the big issue with this team?
Lack of depth.
And so if you're able to move guys out and bring in better depth players, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah, your floor gets higher.
Yes.
Your floor gets higher.
So I think that's the thing.
Definitely doesn't get higher. Well, and remember too, like, you know, we got info very early on in the year that it seemed to us that, you know, the Ducks and Bob Murray seemed to kind of almost view like the pending UFAs, so Raquel, Lindholm, all of them, as like the peak value being right before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
When, you know, really that's not true. I mean, in some cases that may be true, but in this specific case, it absolutely was not true. Their value had peaked, you know, either off season. I would argue last trade deadline was probably when their value.
I mean, I think Raquel at the deadline was probably at his peak value because he got really hot in the lead up to the deadline. But
yeah.
Lindholm was higher value at different times.
Yeah.
So
I just think the problem for this team wasn't going to change even regardless of what they did last summer.
That's fair.
In terms of trying to make the playoffs, which is that, sure, Troy Terry, Adam Henrique, Ryan Getzlaf, these are good players, but you still need more to be kind of like a bona fide team to make the playoffs and then have a chance to make a run as opposed to just have a participation kind of first round run.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do think now, kind of all things considered, considering the reality of the franchise, I think that it is important for them to have at least shown what this can look like when it's working to any degree, right? It is hard to go through years of things absolutely not working, of things looking so awful. And it is important that that happened. And I think it's a good sign. And now, if you're Pat Verbeek this summer, it probably gives you a little more confidence to kind of build up the roster.
Yep. All right. Want to get questions?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start with our Discord, our Patreon Discord. This comes from D. Frenzy. Said, podcast question. Do we think Akins has some personal problem with Zegras? Just seems like some of his actions he doesn't like as much as other players. He continuously benches him for defensive breakdowns when he doesn't do that to, say, Lundestrom. The comments he made a couple weeks ago about Z being frail. Also, there were the rumored shouting matches between him and Zegras when Z was coming back to the lineup from COVID. Thanks for taking the time to answer this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I have no way of knowing, so
yeah,
don't want to get into that.
I would agree with Felix. I don't think it's a personal issue whatsoever. And if anything, you know, hearing Akins talk about Zegras, he's almost always very complimentary of him. He loves the fact that Zegras, you know, is showy and has the skill. He stepped up for Zegras during the whole Tyson Nash, Jay Beagle crap. Like he stepped up for his player there. It's not a personal thing at all. I just think it's a usage hockey tactics issue with him.
Mm-hmm. Shaken Wing says, what is McTavish's star probability and how does he compare with other Ducks prospects or players? Zegras and Drysdale at that point. So just as a reference, I had, I closed that window.
I can pull it up.
Yeah, I can get it quickly. But I believe he was like at 60%, something like that, in terms of NHLer.
He's at 9% probability to be a star producer and 53% to be an NHLer.
Now. And so comparing that to Trevor Zegras, on the other hand, in his D+1 year, I mean, the tough thing is obviously with kind of how COVID messed with.
Well, the priors are messed up on McTavish because he had that weird draft year, you know, playing in Switzerland and playing in a league not in the Swiss First Division, that is a league that doesn't have a bunch of priors or not a lot of to go off of historically. And now that still gets factored into his draft +1.
Yeah.
So it's a good sign that the numbers have increased. You would like to see them increase more, but you have to defer a little bit more to the eye test with Mason McTavish. But Zegras in his draft year was at 51% star probability.
Yeah.
And in his draft +1 was at 32%. And then, now, the last one in his draft +3 is 79%.
Yeah.
Star probability.
Yeah.
So.
He's very, very good. So McTavish is a little bit behind in terms of these prospecting models compared to where Zegras was at that same point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the prospecting models have, some value, but there's a little bit more. The models with McTavish are more limited than they would be otherwise just because of those priors. And I would say that from an eye test perspective, McTavish has some of the tools to become a star. I'm not saying he will be, but I think he definitely has some of the tools. That shot is amazing. He's already got NHL ready size, and he already uses that size very effectively. We've seen that. There's certainly other questions with his game. I think some of his playmaking and play reading ability aren't there quite yet. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I think with McTavish, I will say that the skills, there's some very promising skills that he has got.
Yep. And then BT Laughin asked us, will the Ducks always be considered a small market team that is picked on for having visible empty seats / opposing fans? Or do you think having a star like Zegras combined with overall growth has the potential to put the franchise in another tier among teams in the league in the future?
I mean, you guys are probably better positioned to answer that. But to me, I feel like Southern California fans, sports fans, are pretty... Like, you have a lot of choice, right? With all the different
There's
teams
a lot
you
of
can
competition.
You can shop around, and that reality is not going to change. And so I think the empty seats thing is still going to be a reality. But I do think that in terms of the cachet of the franchise and their viability, their marketability around the league, a guy like Trevor Zegras does change that. But I still think the Ducks are going to be considered small market because that's just not something that one player can really change.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, when the Ducks are good, they sell out.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, like that's kind of the nature of the Southern California market is if you don't win, it's going to be tough to draw, especially if you're not one of the top higher end sports. That's just the nature of the situation. Even if it's a big team, like even if it is like something like the Dodgers or Angels, like if they're not good, they're not selling.
The Angels are a big team.
I think that the Angels have been nearly tops in attendance for a while, although there's some question about that lately. But I would say maybe the only team in Southern California that can still draw well without being good is probably the Lakers.
Yeah.
Everybody else is really just going to depend on success.
Yeah. Which is fortunate for them because they're not going to be good for a while.
Wow. Shots fired.
All right.
Okay. Let's get to some questions from Twitter. We got a couple, and then we'll be going to Twitch. This comes from our good friend Tony. This is one that doesn't require any time at all. It's just one that's an inside joke for CJ only. But for CJ, I'm running a Starbucks in 15. You want to join?
What?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have caffeine
understand.
this late, but if you're willing to pick me up a nitro cold brew with sweet cream.
There it is. Our good friend Trevor Zegras asked us just one question tonight. I feel like Fiala may be too hefty price to pay for the compensation for. Do you think the Ducks check in on a guy like Scheifele? And
No.
Yeah, I don't see that really.
No to Scheifele.
Too old.
And I know that Fiala had a big weekend, but the reality is still the reality in terms of age and his acumen so far. So I don't think that that's really changed. Get him. Send out the offer sheet.
Yeah, Hockey Rush asked, if Calgary wins the Stanley Cup, does Bob Murray get his name on the cup? I have no idea.
Do pro scouts get their names on the cup?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he would.
Yeah. I don't.
By the way, they are my pick.
Wow.
I'm coming out and saying it right now.
I actually don't hate that pick at all.
How dare you not pick the Cats?
The Cats? No one calls them that.
Yeah, they do.
No one calls them
call them that.
Yeah, exactly. See, thanks, CJ.
Their style won't win in the playoffs.
Wow, boomer energy from you.
No, it's just reality. Like, it's just I don't know if
they traded for Ben Sherratt, how dare you?
Actually, that is a good point. They need guys who
have
take a lot of penalties
Sherratt.
in their They need guys who take penalties in the regular season and then those penalties go uncalled in the postseason.
Yeah, Radko Gudas and Ben Sherratt.
Yep.
I don't know. Give me Calgary. That's all I'll say.
McCann Sanford said, how perfect would it be for Getzlaf to get the Masterton Trophy? Talk about dedication to hockey and to the love of the game and not just ring chasing. That's perseverance and dedication. He was nominated by the Anaheim chapter of the Pro Hockey Writers Association as the Masterton nominee.
There you go.
Thoughts?
Deserved. And now Jake
Absolutely
is hacking
deserved.
away.
I'm trying my best.
I'm looking, though. Absolutely deserved. I'm looking, though, right now for who are all the nominees for the teams because I want to see if he's got.
Has Carey Price played in a game yet this season?
Yes, yes, and Carey Price has been nominated. I feel like it's going to be
Carey Price is going to win that award.
Carey Price is going to win it. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. That's Carey Price's award to lose.
Canadian bias.
All right.
Wow.
So
Very insensitive.
we're going to go to Twitch, though, now. So if for those of you watching on YouTube, yes, we're on youtube.com/CrashSpawn. Please like and subscribe. If you comment there, I'll reply if you have a question. But if you're on your favorite podcast services, you can watch it each and every Monday night at 8 p.m. at twitch.tv/CrashSpawn, where if you have Amazon Prime, you get one free Twitch Prime gaming sub each and every month. You do have to hit that subscribe button after 30 days, and you get special emotes in the chat, special badges next to your name. So here's a question. Who wants to go first on this? Who had the better year, Benoit or Mahura?
Wow, that is a deep cut. I am proud of.
Oh, this is from Faturalt.
Okay, that is. I feel like that's flexing. That's flexing the Crash the Pond card.
100%.
If you care about, or that's why you listen to our show, is if you care about those kind of subplots. Okay, so without looking at any stats, because I have some of the stats in my head, but without any refresher, I will say Josh Mahura in a landslide.
I was gonna be like, I'm gonna look this up, but I want to like make it.
It's Josh Mahura, 100%.
I
think we need to have a moment. We need to pour one out for.
Oh God,
maybe this will offend, maybe this will ostracize, maybe this will burn bridges. Who knows? But Simon Benoit, if you look at the RAPMs, sure, there's some positive impact in terms of offense, but he was like, the reputation for him coming in was he was this, maybe more physical, effective defenseman. And yeah, he's coming out of the AHL and he doesn't have any NHL experience, but I just feel like the reputation that the under the radar hype train was just not backed up at all. Like, he just wasn't good this year, which is unfortunate. While Mahura wasn't great either, don't get me wrong, but Mahura at least, did stuff that was more useful.
So I have the GAR tables up right here from Evolving Hockey.
It wouldn't be a CJ appearance without using GAR, because we never use GAR on this show. Actually, we did on the last bonus show, but yeah.
I love GAR, and yeah, you can look at the rep. Josh Mahura grades out worse than Simone Benoit in GAR, both in total and on a per 60 basis.
Okay.
They're both awful. They're both like bottom 5 in that stat, but Mahura actually grades out kind of a fairly decent amount worse.
Well, so here's what's interesting, because I kind of love these types of questions. Here's what's interesting is that if you look at the tracking data for Benoit, I think what drives his offensive impacts when you look at the on-ice stuff is that he's really good at joining the rush. Like, he grades out really well in terms of shots off the rush, shots off of high-danger passes. He's really good at collecting rebounds for some odd reason. He's good at contributing to chances, but then everything else, and I'm not even making this up, like everything else just terrible at, like defending the blue line in particular, really poor at, really bad at retrieving the puck down low, really bad at exiting the zone with control. Whereas Josh Mahura, he does some things very, very well, and kind of in all different facets of the game. Like, he's not a one-trick pony. He's good at exiting the zone. He's good at contributing offense off the rush. And so, yeah, like, it's Josh Mahura.
Okay. ODog81 question, are we Ducks fans hoping that McTavish can eventually play a similar style to Getzlaf and somewhat fill the void that he has left in the Ducks roster as an elite power forward?
So you would just want, like, the hope should just be that he'll have a Ryan Getzlaf level impact. Styles are great. Styles are fun. But what really matters is the bottom line impact, because you see guys around the league that have fun styles or players that fans latch onto, but might not actually be that impactful, that effective. And so all that really matters is how good he actually is at the end of the day. And by the way, I didn't know that people call the Panthers the Cats, but I just feel like no one actually, like the number of people who call them the Cats might be single digits. Is all.
Count me part of it. I mean,
I don't call them the Cats, but I've heard more than 9 people say
Salem sleeping behind me, and she definitely calls.
I like cats, by the way. This is not a referendum on the cat species.
Felix is a very well-known cat person.
Yeah. Our good friend JC, Caster Y4SO, said, question, how much has the McTavish pick grown on you since the draft? I know we were a lot more down on it at the time due to other players available.
No, I was high on it. I had to talk. So when we did our live stream of the draft, Jake was the disappointed one. I was the one that I talked you off the ledge, basically.
You did. Yeah.
Did I?
Oh,
yes.
yeah. No,
Check
I remember
the tape.
this very clearly.
Roll the tape. Roll the tape.
I thought I said it was a defense. I'm pretty sure I said it was a defensible pick, but I preferred
after I talked you off the ledge.
I remember me being more like confused and not entirely sure what to think. I don't know if I had a super strong, but I was on the Eklund train for sure, like as well at the same time. But yeah, I remember just being kind of like, what? That came out of left field. I barely know anything about this kid.
the pick that's grown is Olin Zellweger.
Yes.
Because just the scale, like the magnitude of how good he's going to be now.
Well, everybody knew that was a good pick when it was made, but I don't think we realized just how like he had the greatest season for a defenseman in the WHL since Scott Niedermayer.
Yeah.
Like, and he did it a year younger. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he is
definitely. I mean, could he be the best player in that draft? Too much?
It's
too much?
I mean, it's possible.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Could. We'll see.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Yep, exactly. Felix, you're gonna love this question because it's something that we definitely always go to. Rooch20 said, "Who would you take in this year's draft?"
Oh God, yeah, don't know. Look, wake me up when the draft is like about a month away, and then I'll start having draft takes. For now.
Here,
Shane Wright.
Yeah,
Shane Wright.
Yeah, damn it. Why'd you have to beat me? To that. I'll go Slavkovsky.
Sure. I mean, we don't know where they're going to be picking. We don't know who's going to be available anyway.
CJ, would you like to add anything?
Savoy.
I'm gonna be straight up real with you guys here. I'm similar to Felix, but I know probably even less. I do like absolutely zero draft research until the season is done and I kind of have an idea of where they're picking. To be completely honest, the only like names I'm actually more than casually familiar with are Shane Wright and Brad Lambert. And
Brad Lambert's an option.
Yeah, he is.
Shane Wright will be a Montreal Canadian. So
wow.
Mitkov is 23, right?
Now I'm really excited for the watch along I just realized, the watch along for the draft lottery is gonna have a whole added intrigue to it with Montreal. How mad will Felix? Now I'm excited. How mad will Felix get if the Ducks win the lottery and Montreal is like second or third?
I would be so pissed because
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
We need it to happen just purely for the content.
Yeah, I'm gonna melt down if they don't get first.
I'm trying to remember.
Tune in live to see Felix melt down.
What was
the selling point?
What was the watch along? Wasn't it of the draft when someone got picked and you just like fell backwards?
Oh, it was.
Was it Jack Quinn?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It may have been.
I still have the screenshot of your reaction of you looking. You're like, you have got to be kidding me.
That's the type of content we can expect.
Tune in. Me watching live sports is like can be problematic.
Chris Kindred asks, seeing the Ducks are obviously interested in taking on a decent players on bad contracts. What contract should they be interested in taking on this summer? I'm thinking someone like Sean Monahan.
I don't know. That's a Jake question. Putting you on the spot.
Wow. I honestly haven't really put myself into those shoes to figure out what type of contracts out there are bad that they could exploit. Sean Monahan's not a bad one, though. That's someone that really has fallen off a cliff this year in terms of production.
Evgeny Dodonov?
I mean, isn't he a UFA? Oh, no, Well, he's
got a year.
He does, but yeah, no way that's happening.
You don't want those California taxes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about name a bad contract in this league. I mean, there's a lot, but name one that people want to get rid of.
Ooh, Ryan Getzlaf.
That problem will resolve itself in like 2 days.
Yeah, I'm like
4
looking at the Oilers don't really have any bad deals, but they're spending up high. I mean, maybe they try to get rid of Mike Smith. He's at 2-2.
My mind went to the LA Kings, but then I realized that they're not. First off, that trade wouldn't happen, and secondly, their bad contracts aren't as bad as they used to be.
I mean, do the Stars try to drop someone or move someone? Maybe they try to move Esa Lindell, depending on how they're feeling on Lindell. I mean, this is just me kind of throwing stuff out there because I don't know. Esa Lindell's making 5.8 for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know how they feel about him, where they're at with him. So who knows? But maybe that's a guy. This is just me. I don't.
Somebody I'm just seeing now, and I'm wondering. I
Vlasic.
don't feel like this would work for a lot of things. I'm looking at Tyler Johnson from Chicago. The contract is a little long.
No.
But if really, because they're, I mean, who is it? Kyle Davidson.
Jake, we said decent players. Edward Vlasic is cooked.
That's fair.
Tyler Johnson is still a decent player.
No, here's the issue with Tyler Johnson. Chicago is embracing the rebuild. There's no way they're going to move a guy and trade picks to get rid of him.
Really, he's 31 years old.
Yeah, no, Chicago's full blown rebuild. They're not moving.
I know the rebuild. Yeah. That's why I'm saying with his.
Oh, Jonathan Taves. There's your pick from Chicago.
Oh,
there's your pick.
Or Patrick Kane.
Yeah, I mean, just Chicago's not going to move a guy if they have to move a pick along with him to get rid of the contract.
I think. Do you think one of Taves or Kane is gone this summer?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
I think it's Taves.
I think it's Kane.
I think Kane likes putting up points on a bad team and not having to play defense.
Kane has said if DeBrincat goes, Kane's going.
And DeBrincat, yeah,
but would Davidson get rid of DeBrincat though? I don't think he would.
There's rumors that DeBrincat wants to get moved.
If they're tearing it all the way down, he's probably their best trade chip because he's got a year left and then he's an RFA. So you can sell that to your trade partner in that way.
King's ransom for
the Ducks I think he's a free agent.
How bad does the Seth Jones contract look now for Chicago? I mean, it looked bad at the time. It looked bad the moment it was signed, but oh my god.
Phil the Thrill in Anaheim
to be okay this season.
Phil the Thrill signs for the Ducks.
Dude, I would buy a jersey in a heartbeat.
Ducks go to orange Mighty Ducks jersey. Sign Phil the Thrill.
Nah.
Wow.
I'm not a Phil Kessel fan.
Wow.
Next step, Stanley Cup.
I mean, the guy played for Boston and Toronto. It's just not,
Fat Gerald said asked if I'm still in on Chikrin. I am.
No, I've talked you off of that.
Not to the same level that I was.
Let the people know that I've talked you off of that.
Give me Travis Sanheim.
You've pivoted. I've pivoted to Travis Sanheim.
I've pivoted hard.
Heel turn.
Is what? I feel like that's a babyface turn.
I just love dropping wrestling terms that don't actually fit the context of what we're discussing.
Do you want me to go on a wrestling tangent?
No. Keep moving along. More questions. Do we have any more?
I think that's it for questions. Yeah.
Imagine Jonathan Taves on the Ducks next season. I don't think it happens, but it would be pretty funny.
Does Mason McTavish make the Ducks?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, if he doesn't, I feel like the Ducks are kind of in trouble. No?
No, he's still young enough.
Sure.
Taylor Hall? I think
he's
McTavish has McTavish turned 19 yet?
Surely.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So he's 19 years old. If he doesn't make the team out of the gate, it's not the end of the world. And
it's not, but he's got to play another year of junior, and I just feel like I just don't know how useful that's going to be. That's more so the issue, is just the downside of where he goes.
Yeah, true.
Taylor Hall, though, I'm seeing that name in our chat.
Yeah. Thoughts? I don't think.
I don't think so. But
I feel like Boston would want to keep him.
To an 8-year deal.
Also, he's got a no-move clause, so I don't think he's going to the Ducks. He's moving that to go to the Ducks.
But on the other side, he could come here and he could have a boat in warm weather year-round instead of just during the summer in Boston. So if he wants to crash his boat in Newport Harbor, fantastic. He's free to do that.
Wait, is that a thing? Is that a thing?
There was It was a whole thing, I think, with he tweeted like early in his career that he wanted to get his boating license.
Oh.
Or whatever. It was just like this random weird tweet that he had about getting a boating license, and people ran with it.
All right, we had some more questions trickle in. Odog81 said, question for Felix: do you think Jake is all elite?
Don't know what that means.
Answer yes or no.
Jake is babyface.
Answer yes or no.
Jake is babyface.
Yeah, yes or no.
Decline to answer.
Wow. Fat Gerald says, does Drysdale start as a duck or a goal next year? I feel like this is a CJ baiting question.
Ooh, this definitely is. I think he's a duck. I think that the Ducks have too many nobodies on defense right now. You really have...
Whoa. Euro Vakanainen would like word.
Oh my goodness, how could I forget? There's way too many obvious, barring Verbeek going crazy on defense next season. I just think you kind of have to play Drysdale almost. Yeah, and you don't have to, but you get what I'm saying.
To jump in on that, I think that Drysdale has shown improvement this year.
Yep.
Even though he's still god freaking awful defensively, he has shown a lot of improvement, and given how young he is, given the weird development path that he's taken, I think that that's encouraging enough to where it's like, okay, now you just got to play him. I think that they should just be more careful about his role in the NHL next year.
Yep. Brooch20 asks, am I the only one here that thinks McTavish shouldn't be on the Ducks roster next year?
Well, I guess I'm of two minds. I would prefer to see him on the Ducks next year because I think that makes the team more intriguing. But it just depends what their roster is looking like. Like, what kind of roster is Pat Verbeek going to build this summer?
Well, it also
he has to come into a good situation.
It also just depends on what they think is the best place for him to develop. If they think he has anything left in junior, I mean, he put up 40 points in 24 games for Hamilton. Like, yes, we looked at the hockey prospecting model, but I just don't know if they think there's anything left for him there. And I think that's the question that we're going to find out.
And I mean, here's the whole thing with McTavish, right, is that he was drafted under this assumption that he is this kind of pro-style player and that the way he plays is going to be a seamless fit in the NHL. And I feel like that hasn't gone away. Martin Madden is still the guy in charge there, in terms of the player evaluation. And so I think that he just has that. It just feels like they've decided that he's going to be a guy who makes it early to me.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not undeserved. Like, he lit up the OHL this year. So I don't know. He
lit up the OHL, and he didn't look completely out of place to start this season.
No, he didn't. I mean, and he also was playing not his natural position. Thank you, Dallas Aikens.
Zuzle said, speaking of 19-year-olds, do you know who's 20 now?
Jamie Drysdale. Happy birthday. Did that happen this week?
No, we talked about it on last week's episode.
Okay.
And on that same topic, Hardcore Lucher said, not a question, but I was laughing completely when Allers went off on Drysdale just turning 20.
They must listen to the show, right? Like come on. It's just, are they living to torture us? To torment me in particular?
Yeah.
Has to be, right?
That's a very broad us, because all of us laugh at it when it happens and mock you.
Yeah, whatever. Next question.
Odog81 says that I'm the baby face and you're the heel, Felix. Just as a heads up.
Heel turn.
JC asked, what's the likelihood Gibson is moved during the summer?
Ooh, non-zero.
I'm giving it
greater or less than 50%.
I was going to say 50-50. I'm giving it a 50-50
That's a cop-out. Sorry,
all
that's
right,
a cop-out.
51%.
50.1%.
Yeah. By the way,
I think it's likelier that, I mean, it's the NHL, but there's a lot of silly teams out there, as always. So I'm going to give it a greater than 50% chance.
Wow. I'll go with that.
Agreed.
By the way, CJ KHL called you out, CJ. Disrespect to Schuster. Calling him a nobody. Wow.
I'm sick.
Dude, you know that being 6'7" is not a hockey skill, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right, let's do two more questions. Zenaz8 said, following up on JC's question, if he doesn't get moved, as in Gibson, do Stolarz and Gibson split time more evenly next season?
I mean, I'm throwing my hands up at this question because
Akins is still the coach.
Akins is still the coach, but does the new management group, though, not kind of see that that's a flaw in this team's methodology and look to address that, though? Like, what
That's
more
fair.
does Anthony Stolarz need to do to prove that he's capable of more? Anthony Stolarz is the Ducks' best goalie this year by a big margin. So what more does he need to do? I would say that, yes, there will be a change if he's around, which, like I said, less than 50% chance of that happening.
Yep. Fat Troll says, will Jake Sanderson look better than Drysdale next year? No.
I don't have an opinion on that.
Sanderson's been developing very nicely. Like I'm gonna give the Sens. And where was
flowers?
Sanderson playing again?
What?
Well, he's in the NHL now.
He was at Nodak. Nodak? North Dakota? Or one of the Dakotas.
He's in the NHL now.
He was at one of the Dakotas.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's only one relevant one.
Sanderson,
again, I can't remember which one that is. That's the issue.
North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
He's been developing nicely, but I mean, Drysdale's got the leg up on him here. I doubt he looks better than him next year.
All right.
Yeah.
We ended up. Lewis really dropped the ball this week. He didn't give us a town.
That's fine.
I know. So
we're an hour and a half in.
We are
somehow.
By the way, but I'll just read a food take to end this from our food channel.
Oh,
Lewis was the last one. He said, "Just ate my feelings with Del Taco, but fresh glazed donuts sound amazing."
Ooh.
Ugh. What a combo.
That's because Green Bastard had said stopped at Krispy Kreme after the game.
Glazed
the
donuts.
Krispy Kreme to me is a little bit further away in a town called Sparks from me, but there's a local donut shop that's very close that I'm excited to try out.
That's what you get for moving to Nevada, CJ. For moving to Reno, you don't have Krispy Kreme nearby.
Look,
I mean, it's like 20. I can get anywhere in this damn metropolis in 20 minutes. It's so easy. I love it.
Well, shit.
Look,
I got
Del Taco isn't good. Let's get that out of the way. Let's dispense that notion. And then
I would like to introduce myself as the new host replacing the recently fired Felix Sicard of Across the Pond.
Felix, would you like to take that back? Oh, no, you can't because I muted you. Felix has been muted.
He's trying.
There you go.
Trying.
I've made this point multiple times before. Like, I don't know. This is nothing new. But Del Taco isn't as good as Taco Bell. That is for sure. But also,
I muted him again. Not letting this blasphemy.
I heard a Mick, and I was going to be like, oh, this take is going to be off
disparaging
the rails.
Jake's family. No, but mixing Del Taco with donuts? Are you a monster?
Have you ever been to a county fair?
Have you
that's
ever
been way worse?
Have you ever gotten the churros from Del Taco?
Ugh, I'd rather
overrated.
I'd
Churros
rather
from Del Taco
I'd rather
extremely
slice my
overrated.
tongue off.
They're good. I had a feast from Del
I love
Taco
Del
last
Taco.
week. It was amazing. An absolute feast. I got chicken soft tacos. I got a quesadilla. I got a bean and cheese burrito, and I got French fries.
And it probably cost you like $4, right?
Yeah, it was delicious.
Disgusting.
You're making me so
Wait,
hungry
was
right
that
now.
meant to like be a negative, or was that supposed to be a positive?
Yes, because if it's cheap, it means it's inherently
Wow.
cheap ingredients.
Wow, that's
bad quality.
That is
Bad quality.
That is elitist. That is an elitist take,
it's just
Felix.
it's just I care about your health, and I don't want you eating.
That is an elitist.
I don't want
take.
you eating 30% meat.
That is an elitist take.
It's not. It's just not. No one has to eat Del Taco, and you choose to.
It's delicious. It's better than Taco Bell.
It's not. It's
Oh,
not.
it absolutely is.
If you're gonna go
And I
down
do
the
like Taco Bell. I'm fine with
French
it.
fries,
if you, no,
crinkle
at
cut
least-
fries.
Look, at least Del Taco doesn't randomly cancel popular menu items out of nowhere constantly.
I'm pounding my desk right now, but I don't know if this will come through on the audio. But if the thing that you're like, if the
Thank you,
selling
Lou,
point,
for providing us a shit show section, even when you
If the
didn't
f-
mean to.
if the selling point of a Mexican fast food place is the French fries, I think you've got a problem. I think you're kind of
Have you ever had
Have
you ever had a California burrito, good sir?
Yeah, but that's
French-
don't move goalposts.
French fries are a
Don't-
big part of that. You got to have good French fries for a good California burrito.
Look, again,
California burritos are overrated.
California burritos are great, but there's also a lot of bad California burritos. That's the problem with California burritos.
Del
And I
Taco
say
California burritos are good.
Look, Del Taco is just so overrated. It makes me angry. It makes me just shake my fists in the air.
Wait. I need to bring something up. Something you said that there's someone has told you to be a bit better about this. Have you ever tried Del Taco?
I've tried it multiple times.
What have you had?
I've had everything. I've had the whole slate.
I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
If you've had everything on Del Taco's menu, then you're
I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
No one.
Or you're lying about hating Del Taco.
I'd be dead if I had that much Del Taco. No one can ingest that much
Forever
toxic
1922
waste.
also with Forever 1922 with a great point. The selling point of any fast food place should be French fries because you always get them. Great point. Fantastic point. Check and mate.
What? It's a Mexican food place.
It's a fast food place.
It's a Mexican-inspired fast food place.
You know what?
Nobody
made my
here
point.
is claiming Del Taco is authentic Mexican food.
Look, I've made my point. Like, yeah, I've heard people say that they love the burgers from Del Taco.
Oh yeah, my wife.
Their burgers are
Monica.
actually pretty good.
Oh, that just makes me sick.
They've got good burgers.
Maybe that just makes me sick. I want to throw up right now.
As opposed to the cultural Mexican staple that is the Crunchwrap Supreme. Come on.
Look, at least that is tangentially more authentic than literal French fries. Like, come on. Let's not pretend.
Do they not have French fries in Mexico, Felix? Oh my goodness. Your ignorance is showing.
French fries are not part of Mexican cuisine. They just aren't.
Says you.
Yeah, that's
you. What? They're called French fries. French. They're not Mexican fries.
Oh, I think I know why Felix is mad here. Felix hates it because they are taking away his thing.
They're coming for my fries. Is that what I sound like? Right
yeah. We get it now. We see now.
This will all be like post 9/11 when everybody tried to make them freedom fries and not French fries.
I'm sick. I feel nauseous.
CJK Chell's asking if you've ever tried the burger from Dairy Queen.
No.
That's a Felix.
I'm sick. I'm sick
Dairy
right
Queen
now.
has decent chicken tenders.
Oh, Fatcherall with a great take. Del Taco fries greater than poutine.
Oh.
Okay. Let me address that.
That was the nuclear take.
Let me address that.
This podcast, we were all set to end this like 15 minutes ago.
Let me address that. If I had only ever had the poutine in Southern California, I might actually believe that. Because there's just not a lot of good poutine in this region of the world. So I understand why you might be so delusional to think that. But if you've had the real deal, you wouldn't even think that for a second. That's all I'll say. I'll walk away now. Put the mic back down.
Yeah, you give up your time.
You know, it's just there's a lot of hate out there. There's also a lot of irrational love for Del Taco.
It's not irrational.
I've had Del Taco. I've tried it. I've tried every item on the menu.
That's a lie.
I've talked with executives there and employees.
I mean, that actually is.
I know.
You 100% have talked to someone. I can guarantee that.
That's what I'm saying.
An employee, executive.
That's what I'm saying. And so, there's just nothing special about it. It's the most mediocre thing I've ever had. I do not understand the hype for this place. I just fundamentally don't. And now Jake just wandered off. Oh, bringing the cat over.
You know what? At the end of the day, everybody has just that incredibly wrong take, and this is yours, and you've leaned into it, and I respect that.
It's not wrong, though. Like, the love is so misplaced. The love is so... Like, you can say, like, okay, I like it, it's decent, whatever, but it's not great. It's just not.
Look, let me end on a good food take that all three of us agree on. In-N-Out is great.
Well, yeah, sure.
We all agree on that.
Yeah, water is wet.
Salem, do you agree?
Yes. Salem agrees. Hi, Salem. What is your favorite Del Taco menu item?
Do you feed her? If you feed her Del Taco, I'm calling animal control, or PETA, or whatever the organization is.
Salem, what do you think?
She's leaving that home if she's had to eat Del Taco.
What do you think?
That is animal cruelty. Okay, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm flustered. I'm flummoxed. I've never been this upset on a podcast.
He has been hoodwinked, bamboozled.
Yeah,
led
see,
astray.
look, Dalton Key's in our chat. Thank you. The silent majority finally speaking up. I've never actually met someone who thinks Del Taco is great. I know a bunch for some reason. It's really frustrating. I feel like I'm surrounded by enemies. Okay.
Heel Felix has appeared.
It's
this was a masterclass of a promo, by the way, from Felix, a heel promo of insulting something that's beloved by the fan base, trying to get heat. As CJ and I are the baby faces here.
I feel the anger just seething through me right now, just coursing through me. Okay, we should wrap up.
Felix was on MJF levels.
I don't know what any of this means.
I know. Hey, Odiflo says you're in the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Like, here's the other thing I don't understand.
We were all set to end. We're like 20 minutes on this.
I just want to say this. Why? Okay. Del Taco's not that great, right? Like, we fundamentally agree it's mediocre food. But there's not, like, as much as I like Taco Bell, like, there's not that much difference between the two. And yet...
No, there's a big difference.
And yet the Del Tacoites, the Del Taco people, they think there's this huge gap between the two. Like, if I gave you a Del Taco taco and a Taco Bell taco side by side blindly, I don't think you could tell me which one was which.
I could.
I don't think you could.
I could too.
I could.
No.
You know what?
I also don't order their
their
regular tacos.
All the Del Taco supporters, we're starting a new religion supporting Taco Bell. We meet, our service is every Tuesday on Taco Tuesday at the Taco Bell at the Del Taco headquarters. Come meet us. We'll show Felix what's up.
It's just, come on, guys. We can do better. We can do better than Del Taco in 2022. All right. Well, on that note,
go get some Del Taco.
So, if you've enjoyed our show today and you want to keep supporting us and help us keep this thing going, there are a few ways for you to do that. The number one way is to check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/crashthepond, and for $1 a month, you get access to our patrons-only Discord server. It's so much fun. You get to join a thriving community of diehard Ducks fans. And yes, we do have a food channel, so you get to be privy to some of these insane food debates / takes. It's just so much fun, and that's for $1 a month. For $5 a month, you still get access to the server on top of 2 bonus episodes where Jake and I, and sometimes CJ, will go more in-depth on league-wide topics, do more in-depth Ducks topics, stuff that maybe we don't have as much time to talk about on the show. And then you can also make a super awesome, super appreciated pledge of $15 a month. Now, you don't have to pledge any monthly amount, though, to still support us. You can search for us on Apple Podcasts. Just search for Crash the Pond and leave us a rating and a review, and we'll read it on the show. We love to hear from you guys. Those are really, truly appreciated. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms. We're on Spotify. Leave us a rating there. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/crashthepond. Jake posts the video version of the show there. You can see our faces and Salem the Black Cat, as well as whatever else happens to appear on screen during the show. See what kind of hat Jake is wearing. See what kind of attire Jake is wearing. Jake basically carries all the entertainment value of the show from a visual perspective.
My little Danhausen micro brawler.
Don't know what that is. But yeah, there you go. And so you find us on YouTube, and also make sure to check out our website, crashthepond.com. Got articles going up there. crashthepond.com/shop. You can actually get some really cool t-shirts with our great logo, both Eggplant and Jade and Orange and Black version. We've got coffee mugs now, stickers. So if you get any of those, tag us on Twitter at CrashThePond. We're also on Facebook. CJ's on Twitter at CJ Woodling. Jake is on Twitter at ReindeerGames91. And I am on Twitter at Felix_Sicard. That is going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And we will talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.